This new law will save Florida condos, or at least that's what lawmakers are hoping for. But right now, the whole thing is still a giant mess. The Florida condo crisis hasn't gone away, and what they decide next could impact thousands of families, especially in South Florida. I'm breaking it all down in simple terms so you know what's really going on and what to watch out for, because this thing is far from over. In this video, I'll show you the 2 bills Florida lawmakers are pushing to fix this crisis, why DeSantis says one of them is a total failure that could lead to homelessness, and I'll show you a hidden clause buried deep in one of these bills that could let them take your condo building away from you. Wait till you hear this. Let's jump in. All right, let's start with how this all began. Back in 2021, something horrible happened in Surfside, Florida, just outside of Miami. A 12-story condo building completely collapsed in the middle of the night while people were sleeping. It was heartbreaking. 98 people died. That's moms, dads, grandparents, entire families gone in seconds. And the worst part is, it didn't have to happen. For years, the Surfside Condo Board had been warned. There were cracks in the structure, leaks in the garage, rusted out support beams, and everybody knew it. But the board kept going back and forth, arguing about how much it would cost to fix and who should pay for it. Some people didn't want their fees to go up. Others thought the building could hold out a little while longer, so nothing got done. And then it was too late. After that, Florida lawmakers jumped into action. They didn't want another Surfside tragedy, so they passed new laws to make sure older buildings were safe. Now, if your condo is 30 years old or more and 3 stories high or taller, especially if it's near the coast, you've got to get a full inspection. You also have to build up a reserve fund, basically a big pile of money set aside to fix major stuff like roofs, concrete, plumbing, all of it. No more ignoring problems and hoping for the best. Here's where it gets tricky. Florida's got over 2 million condo units, and a ton of them are older buildings in places like Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. So yeah, this new law affects a lot of people. And guess who's stuck paying for all these repairs? Regular people, especially retirees living on fixed incomes. And some people are now getting hit with bills over $100,000 for their share of the work. Imagine living your whole life, finally retiring to Florida, and then getting slapped with a 6-figure bill just to stay in your own home. That's what people are facing right now, and that's how we got into this mess. So now that people are getting hit with these insane repair bills, the state is trying to figure out how to fix the problem without making it worse. And I'll be honest, that's not an easy thing to do. You can't just undo the Surfside tragedy. You can't ignore building safety, but you also can't bankrupt people who are just trying to live in their homes. Right now, Florida lawmakers are looking at 2 different bills, one from the House and one from the Senate, and they go about things in completely different ways. The House bill already passed, and let's just say it's not getting a lot of love. One of the biggest issues, it gives condo boards the power to take out loans without asking the owners first. Think about that. A few board members could borrow millions of dollars for repairs, and the people who live there, the ones who have to pay it back, don't even get a say. That's wild. And on top of that, the House bill doesn't let owners pause or delay their reserve payments. So if you're already struggling to make ends meet, too bad. The bills still do. Now, the Senate bill is a lot more balanced. It says that if a board wants to take out a big loan, they have to bring it to a vote. That means the people who actually live there get to decide if they want to go into debt. The Senate version also lets buildings pause their reserve payments for up to 2 years, which could give people a little more breathing room to get their finances straight. Lawmakers are still working out the details, but here's the deal. Whichever version becomes law is going to affect thousands of people. One bill gives people a voice, the other doesn't. And that's the difference between fixing the problem or creating a whole new one. Now, if you're wondering which bill Governor DeSantis is backing, he's made it real clear. He's standing with the Senate bill all the way, and honestly, I think he's 100% right on this one. DeSantis came out and said the House bill is a total failure. He's worried, and rightfully so, that if the House version becomes law, it could cause a wave of homelessness, especially among seniors. Think about it. You got retirees living on Social Security or small pensions, and now you're throwing $50,000 or $100,000 bills they have to pay at them, with no way to push back or fight back. It's cruel. People would be forced to walk away from their homes because they just couldn't afford to stay. The Senate bill is different. It actually gives people a voice. Before a condo board could take out a giant loan that affects everybody, the owners would get to vote on it. That's basic fairness. Plus, giving buildings the option to pause reserve payments for 2 years could save a lot of people from getting buried under debt they can't dig out of. DeSantis isn't just talking about this either. He's pushing hard for lawmakers to think about the real-world impact, not just passing something to say they did something. He wants a bill that protects homeowners, not one that turns them into sitting ducks. And here's the thing. DeSantis has a solid track record when it comes to protecting Florida homeowners. He's already tackled big issues like property insurance, post-hurricane relief, and cutting through government red tape. So when he says the House bill is a bad deal for Florida residents, I'm paying attention. He wants to make sure people aren't getting steamrolled by their condo boards. He wants Floridians to stay in control of their homes, and that's exactly what the Senate bill is trying to do. Now here's where things get even messier. Are these bills even legal? Like, could condo owners actually fight back in court if this stuff passes? The answer is probably. There's a lot of concern that parts of these bills, especially the House version, could be unconstitutional. One of the biggest legal red flags is around property rights. If you're a condo owner, you're not just renting a unit, you own real property. That means you're supposed to have control over what happens with it. But when a law gives a small board the power to take on major debt or even dissolve your ownership, that gets into dangerous territory fast. The legal experts are already lining up to challenge parts of the House bill, especially a section called the termination procedure. Now, that might sound harmless, but it's not. What it means is that if your condo building gets deep into financial trouble, the board could vote to shut it down as a condo altogether. Once that happens, your building could be sold off, redeveloped, or turned into something else. And you might get pushed out whether you like it or not. You might get a buyout, or you might not. Either way, you lose your home, and it was never your decision. And here's the crazy part. You could do everything right. Keep up with your fees, follow the rules, and still lose your place because the board or a group of investors saw a way to cash out. That's why this part of the law is so risky. It's not just about high repair costs anymore. It's about the possibility of losing your property through a legal backdoor. If this isn't written carefully, it could set off a wave of lawsuits and court battles all across the state. And once that starts, nobody's going to win, except maybe the lawyers. And here's what you really need to keep an eye on. Not just what's in these bills, but who's in charge of making the decisions once they pass. Because no matter how well a law is written, it only works if the people running the show know what they're doing and can be trusted. Most condo boards are made up of volunteers. They're not government officials or business executives. They're just regular people who live in the building. And sometimes they're the only ones who were willing to take the job. That doesn't mean they're bad people, but it also doesn't mean they know how to handle big financial decisions, especially ones that impact hundreds of people. These new laws are going to give those boards more responsibility than ever. They'll be expected to manage huge budgets, understand legal obligations, deal with contractors, and possibly handle millions of dollars in repairs. And the scary part is, there's very little oversight built into any of this. Right now, there's not much in the way of training requirements, financial audits, or state-level accountability for condo boards. If someone makes a mistake, or worse, does something shady, owners are usually left trying to clean up the mess themselves. That's a huge problem. And one more thing, this whole thing is moving fast. Lawmakers are under pressure to fix a condo crisis, and I get that, but anytime legislation is getting pushed through quickly, you gotta stop and ask, who's actually benefiting from the rush? Because when you rush something this complex, important stuff gets missed, and regular people usually end up paying the price. So yeah, the bills matter, but so does watching the people in charge and making sure someone's keeping them honest. At the end of the day, you can't sit back and trust that everything's gonna work out on its own. You gotta stay informed and stay involved, especially if you own a condo in Florida right now. I'll say this too, I'm actually glad the legislature is trying to fix this. They're not just ignoring the problem. It's not an easy decision, I'm sure if they could just wave a magic wand and make it all better without anybody getting hurt, they would. But this is complicated. There's no perfect fix where everybody wins. Still, that's why it's even more important that condo owners speak up. You gotta pressure your state reps to do the right thing. Protect homeowners, not just condo boards or big developers. If you stay quiet, you're letting someone else decide the future of your home. And with the kind of money and power at stake here, that's a big gamble. So call your reps, send emails, show up at meetings if you can, make sure they know you're watching and you're voting. Look, Florida does have a few issues it's working through right now, but it's still paradise. And one of the best things we have going for us is a governor who actually fights for us. Click here to see how China has invaded Florida and how Governor DeSantis is fighting back. The Chinese government has already made 2 bold moves to sneak into Florida. Click here to see why DeSantis sounded the alarm and what he's doing to shut it down.